going on, you guys? I'd like to welcome you guys to another one take review. And we're back with it's the end of an era, man. We got the end of the Marvel Netflix universe. Had a good run, man, with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist and Defender, Punisher. But anyway, this is season 3 of Jessica Jones' non-spoiler review. You know what I'm saying? To give my general thoughts on this season. I won't hit too many plot points or anything like that. Just give my overall view on what the season pretty much was about and pretty much what was going on. And overall, I really wish they would have went out on a higher note, because to me, I know a lot of people's their standard for them. It's like Daredevil season 1. Daredevil season 1 wasn't that great to me. I like it. I think it's good, but overall, it just I didn't care for it that much. My favorite before Daredevil season 3, because I think Daredevil season 3 is tremendous all the way around. But my favorite season was for the longest was Jessica Jones season 1. I love that season from beginning to end. I love the detective and what the PI investigative stuff she does. So that season worked for me in every aspect, in every element. The villain, everything about the Kilgrave was phenomenal. And like season 2 of Jessica Jones kind of dipped pretty hard for me, especially from that first season. We introduced Jessica's mother, and you know what I'm saying. Then we know how the end of season 2 ends. Trish kills her mother. Trish gets powers and becomes basically Wildcat. I'm not familiar with Wildcat, so I'm to keep my knowledge to what happens in the show. And pretty much her powers we see in this, she can see in the dark, and she's agile. Like, so it's not really anything. This season was pretty much about like people like. Well, Jessica accepting like this heroism role, you know what I'm saying? She's more in tune to that, and Trish trying to get into that. You know, Malcolm, he's working with Jerry over at the law firm, and he's moved on. He has a girl now, which they did something with that at the end of the season. I'm just kind of like, what the like? It's like my biggest issue with this season. It is just like it was so much stuff I just didn't really care about. I think that was my biggest issue, I have to say. It's just so many things in this season that I'm just like, this does not matter to me at all. You know, Jessica Jones has never been something to where it's like, oh, action, fight scene. You're not gonna get that in Jessica Jones. But it's still, I think the strongest thing for Jessica Jones has to be the writing, and I just didn't feel it. There were 2 episodes in particular where we saw where people were at, and then the very next episode we go back and see where this other person was at throughout this whole time. And they did that with 2 episodes, episode 2 and episode 11. Don't get me wrong. When they did it the first time, it was cool. Episode 2, I'm like, okay, I get it. We get to see exactly where this person has been, basically where Trish has been through this whole this span of, I think, about a couple months. Then they did it again in episode 11. I'm just like, I understand why they're doing this, why they're showing me this, but I don't like this, and it was boring. So many times I find myself getting bored this season, and it just certain characters made certain decisions that they weren't uncharacteristic decisions. It's yet I think of like, yo, even though you like, hey, you're just because you're a superhero, you still supposed to abide by the law. But there are certain times where it's like you should be able to do certain things to get certain people out of certain situations, and like you should have a better understanding. Everybody does not do this superhero thing, the same thing. Daredevil doesn't do it like Jessica does. Jessica doesn't do it like Punisher does. Punisher doesn't do it like Luke Cage does. So, and I felt like it became less of that. Where I feel like it was a build up to something, and then once we got it, it was just like, does it really matter? Because the threat level. I was always bothered with the threat level, and they introduced the main. I guess you call it the main villain of this guy. This series, this season was just like a normal guy who just did like normal things, but at the same time, he was like he's a serial killer. Now, that's not spoiled. He's a serial killer, but I'm thinking they're gonna do something with him where it's like, if you are going up against a superpowered person, you have to be able to do something else. You have to be very, very smart or like something. But this guy was a normal guy, and they had to manipulate certain situations. But it's like you never really felt threatened by him. He would get in certain situations where it was like, oh, I like that. You were digging him for a while, but then something else happened to just like, oh shit, well, that's not really. And then usually everything ends up tying together in one way or another. I feel like some things were just loose and just happened for the sake of happening. Like there's one scene where a character cheats, but it never comes back up. And like the characters, the person and the person he wants to be with, like something happens and it's just gone. Like it's kind of not disturbing, but like you watch it, you just like, what was that for? And I feel like that this season had a lot of those. So honestly, I couldn't say if it's better than season 2 of Jessica Jones. I think they're kind of like around the same wavelengths. I would think I actually even preferred Iron Fist season 2 over this. I think this was definitely one of the weaker halves, and a disappointment because Jessica Jones is probably my favorite character of the Marvel Nextflix characters. So, but hey man, it's just how it is, man. I hope we think this is pretty much it for these characters. There's a chance they can come back on Hulu since Disney pretty much owns Hulu now, or like owns a lot of Hulu. I don't know exactly which one it is, but there's a possibility, there's a chance, because I still would love to see them mix up with like Cloak and Dagger and the Runaways. I feel like all those characters would be great together, but who knows, man. But if this is it, hey, you still have Jessica Jones season 1, which I'm actually rewatching now just because it's that good. But you guys, let me know what you thought about this season down in the comments, man. Hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll catch up with you guys later. Peace.